We'll get started in just a few more minutes. Make sure you fill out the form and introduce yourself in the comments. Okay, I'll get started now. Um, Hello, everyone. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Bhavya Sridhagirala. You can call me Bhavya. And currently, I am a senior in Rouse High School, and I just now committed to UT Austin for electrical and computer engineering. Some of my experience that I've done while I was in high school, I am currently the salutatorian. On my SAT, I was a top 1% scorer, and I was involved in a lot of clubs such as DECA, Student Council, Model UN. I also founded and started the club at my school, Girls Who Code, and many more. And some of my hobbies, I love to dance and I love doing art. And then if you guys want to put in any of your favorite hobbies in the chat, that would also be amazing. So today there are several things I want to go over. The main things are going to be GPA and ranking, core classes, electives, and then ACC, which are dual credit summer courses, and extracurriculars. And then we can end off with our Q&A. So starting off with GPA, so the way GPA works, there's a weighted and an unweighted scale. Unweighted is a simpler version where everything is calculated on a 4.0 GPA. So all your grades are taken into account in just your core classes. So this was actually changed made recently. So the classes on the bottom of the screen, meaning English, science, math, social studies, and your second language are all calculated into your GPA. Your electives will not be. And then for weighted, it's the same thing, but the levels of the classes also matter. So there are three levels. Level 1 is normal classes. Level 2 is going to be your advanced and on-ramps classes. And your level 3 is going to be your AP and IB classes. Your level 1 is going to be weighted on a 5.0 scale. Your advanced classes are going to be 5.5, and your AP or IB classes are going to be a 6.0. And how this works is, again, only out of your core classes, they're going to calculate all your grades based on if it's a normal, advanced, or AP class. And then that is the GPA that you're going to get. In Rouse High School, which is the school I go to, only the top 10% will receive their class rank. Everyone else do not know what their rank is. This might be different for other districts, but this is how it is for LISD. And then another thing you want to know when considering GPA is if you take two science classes in the same year, they only calculate the class with your best average. So this is something a lot of people like to do. If there is a class they want to take, but they don't know how good they will do in it, they will take two classes so that one of them will be considered while the other one won't be calculated into their GPA. And then again, let me know if you guys have any questions. I will be answering them as we go through it. Okay, going on. So again, this is for the LISD catalog. It might be different in every other school. I would encourage y'all to make sure and check your own catalog so that you don't exactly follow this if you're not in Leander ISD. So in LISD, there's three different ways you can graduate. So there's foundations plus endorsements, distinguished level of achievement, and LISD distinguished with honors. The current path that I am taking right now is LISD distinguished with honors. So they're very similar. The core differences are going to be that social studies, you only need 3 credits in the first two, whereas you need 4 credits for the distinguished with honors. And then the other thing is language, you need 3 credits for distinguished with honors. And then electives, you're going to need only 5 because if you're taking more classes in social studies and language, you won't have enough space to take more electives. Okay, so a little more clarity on how high school is going to look like. So you're going to have A day and B day. Your A day is going to consist of 4 classes, and your B day is going to be your other 4. And then in the between, right after second period, you're going to have advocate in your second period class. And your advocate class is used for either to go to another class for tutorials, go to club meetings, and etc. And it's only going to be 30 minutes long. And it's going to alternate between your days. So if Monday you had A day, you're going to have Tuesday B day, Wednesday A day, and so on. Okay, now going on with core classes. So our first core class subject that is very straightforward is going to be English. So we have English 1, English 2, English 3, English 4. All of these classes can be taken in normal level, and your English 3 and 4 classes also offer an AP level. And your English 1 class, there's going to be advanced and Quest. So the main difference between this is if you were in Quest in middle school, you are allowed to take Quest in high school. And the only difference, other than like you will be receiving the same content, the only difference is going to be the people you are put with. If you choose Quest, you're going to be put with people who also choose Quest. That is the only difference. And then usually everyone's 4 years is going to look the same with English 1, 2, 3, 4. Only the levels affecting your GPA will change. Now, science is a more difficult subject because it matters on what major you want to go into. So if you are trying to go into a science major, you might want to look more closely at the catalog that your school provides to see exactly what classes would help you. These are just some of the main classes that my school provides. So there's biology, AP biology, chemistry, AP chemistry, and then there's 4 different levels of physics. And then there's also some miscellaneous ones like AP environmental science. And what I suggest you to do is make sure you talk with students in your school to kind of have a gauge of how hard or how easy these classes will be and how impactful they will be on your learning. So for me, I'm going into I want to go into a technology field. So I made sure that I took physics because that would be very improving to my learning.
Excuse me, I have one question. Should I ask now or wait to end this present?
Yeah, if you could put it to the chat, either like to everyone or privately, that would be amazing. And then
Sure, thank you.
yeah, of course. Okay. And now moving on to core classes. So we have math. This one also very varies on what level you're on currently. So we have it goes to Algebra 1 to AP multivariable calculus. So if I, as a freshman going into school, I'm starting with Algebra 2, I would go do Algebra 2. The next class, I can take AP Stats or Pre-Calc. So after your Algebra 1 Geometry and AP Stats class, or sorry, your Algebra 1 Geometry and Algebra 2 classes, all the others are interchangeable. So I can take stats first if I want, or I can take pre-calculus. But if you want to take calculus, you have to take pre-calculus before that. And yeah, I'll get to that. So calculus AB and calculus BC are different classes. The main difference between these two is that AB covers only a portion of the BC class. So calculus AB could include unit 1 to unit 8, whereas BC is going to be faster paced, but it's going to be unit 1 to unit 10. And then AP multivariable calculus is the class that they offer after you take the AP calculus BC or AB class. And you do not have to take both of them. Okay. Next, we have social studies. This one is a little more straightforward than I would say science, but it does still have a lot of options that you can choose from. So your freshman year class, you can either take AP Human Geography or you can take World Geography. The only difference again between these two is that one is going to give you that AP boost on your GPA, whereas the other one will not. And then going on to your junior year, you can take either world history or European history. There is a not on-level world history and European history as well. Same with US history for your junior year. And then your senior year, there's AP Gov and AP Econ, which is split up half and half. So currently I'm in government, and I took econ my first semester and I switched over to government my second semester. And each one is calculated at 0.5 credit. So overall, you get 1 credit for taking both of those classes. And again, each one of these AP classes I have listed have normal levels that you can take. Yeah, okay. And now we have our second language. So this one, so you can either take 2 to 3 courses in school, depending on which way you want to graduate. Like I showed you in the beginning, in the first 2 ways of graduation, you only are required to have 2. But if you want to do distinguished with honors, you need to take that 3rd credit as well. So this could look like Spanish 1, Spanish 2, or it could be Spanish 1, 2, and 3. Now, Spanish 4 is an AP class, and whereas while you don't need it for high school, it is beneficial to have in college if you're going through linguistics or a liberal arts major. And there are some ways you don't have to take it in school. So the Apple test is a test that they offer where they have a list of different languages that you can test for. And when you test for it, if you pass that test, you get the credits instead of taking it in school. And then the last way that I know of not taking the class in school is going to be using a certification. So this is the way I went about it. I was in Manabadi. So if you're in anything like Manabadi or Telugu Buddy, you will have to take tests through that course. And if you take that test and get a certification, you can show it to your high school, and they might be able to give you credits based on that behalf of those certifications. Okay, moving on to electives. So with our electives, one thing I want to mention before I go into all the options. So we have double block classes. So there are some classes that if you take, it will take up 2 of your periods instead of just 1. So some examples are going to be athletics like tennis, baseball, basketball, golf, and then also choir, show choir, and then later levels of dance are also going to be double blocked. And then at least in Leander ISD, in the catalog, if it mentions practicum in, it's going to usually be double blocked. All the other classes, if it doesn't show on your catalog, you can always reach out to your counselor or someone who you know has taken the class, and they'll be able to tell you if it's double blocked or not. But yeah, so this is an example of how it would look like. My freshman and sophomore year, I took tennis. So over here by the left, this is how my schedule looked like. And 4th and 8th period were both tennis. So I ended off both of my days with tennis. And right now in my senior year, I'm taking practicum in IT, Mobile Maker Studios, which is a class where I am designing an app and I'll be able to publish it at the end of the year. In this class, my schedule looks like the one on the right. So my 5th period, 6th period, and advocate are all in the same class. So depending on the class, your schedule would change. Okay, now moving on to other electives. In the graduation systems, there are two credits that are mandatory, which is the PE credit and the fine arts credit. So PE credit you can get from stuff like athletics, which could be a sport. You can also get it from show choir, dance, and other stuff. But one thing that a lot of people do if they don't want to take any of these double block classes is take the lifetime. It's going to be called Lifetime Fitness and Education. That class is only one class, and it's going to give you the entire credit you need. And this is very similar to the PE class that you take in middle school. And then, yes, choir is also going to be double blocked, and it might change based on what school you're in, but you will either get 2 credits or 1 credit for that. But yes. And then your fine arts credit is going to be, again, you can take choir if you want to get your fine arts credit, any art classes, theater classes, and also dance is also going to give you a fine art credit. So one thing you can do is you can take dance your first year, which is not a double block class, the very first one, and you can get both your PE and fine art credit through that one class. And then another thing that I did was I didn't take my fine arts credit in school. I took it through the summer through Austin Community College, which I will talk about how to do that later on. But that is also an option. If you don't have a keen interest in any of these art things and you would like to have a space to take an extra elective, this is an option for you. Okay, and then Sapita, so that's going to depend on your school. Of my knowledge, I think choir at Rouse High School is going to be double blocked. There also might be different types of choir. So there might be a beginner level choir and a more like competitive version of choir. Both of those may vary, and it also will vary through schools and ISDs. Yeah. Okay, and now coming to endorsements. So I have so this is how my school's programs of study looks like, or LISDs. And the way endorsements are going to work are that it's going to look kind of like this. And this program of study page gives you the pathways for getting that endorsement fully. It's also going to be shown in the catalog page of your school. So if you go down. So all of these are endorsements you can get. So if you wanted to get a public service endorsement in cosmetology and personal care services, you would need to take all 4 of these classes. Yes. And then the good thing about having endorsements by the final year of school is going to be that colleges are going to see that you took this endorsement. And if this endorsement is helping you towards the major you want to go into, that's going to also be really helpful. Okay, next I'm going to tell you a little about how Austin Community College and other university dual credit courses work. So again, this is centralized to where I live. In Austin, they offer these classes. Depending on where you live, colleges nearby you might offer these classes as well. So dual credit classes are summer classes that you can take that will let you either skip a course in high school by giving you that credit, or help you gain a credit for college. And the one thing to know is that taking an ACC course will not affect your GPA in either the high school or your college classes. It's only going to give you that credit. And one thing I recommend to do is I don't recommend to take classes such as math courses through ACC, because math classes like pre-calc and calculus are really hard in the fact that it is such a long course, and taking it over a 5-week course might not be as beneficial to your learning. And then AP Pre-Calc is a class, at least in Rouse High School, they're offering it. It is a new class. it used to be called on-ramps, which was a dual credit class. Um, and the difference between on-ramps and AP is going to be that on-ramps is not going to give you that full GPA boost. It's only going to give you a 5.5 boost, but it is still considered a college and a high school credit. But yeah, at my school, Rouse High School, they newly added the AP Pre-Calc. So again, it might be changing based on what school you go to. ACC credits, I do not think you can take it in middle school. The I started taking them after my freshman year in summer, and this is when most people start to take them. And I do think your freshman year needs to be completed for you to be able to take one of these classes. And another thing to know, registration happens really fast with ACC courses. So make sure you're on the lookout for how to register and get signed up to a class. After my freshman year, I was wanting to take theater, but I wasn't able to do it because I registered kind of late. So I ended up taking Texas government, which was to help me get a credit for my college. Yeah. So AP pre-calculus does give you a 6.0. On-ramps pre-calculus gives you a 5.5. And now we're going to move on to some extracurriculars. So these are also things that colleges look out for. So one extracurricular that you could do is going to be in school. So like sports, dances, or like a dance team, choir, show choir, all of these are going to be extracurriculars that the school offers. Other extracurriculars you could do are clubs. So some of the big clubs that I have been in are going to be DECA, which is a business related club and it's competition based. So first you go to districts. If you win, you go to state level and then you go to the national level. HOSA is very similar to this, but it's going to be in medical. Model UN is going to be mimicking the United Nations. You're going to go as a delegate representing a country, and you're going to debate on world issues. That's also a club that I'm really interested in. Student Council is another club that I'm an officer of. This one mostly works on like big committees that the school is in charge of, such as homecoming, prom decorations, other events that the school throws. And one thing you want to know is that if you do want to be an officer, that's going to take up one of your period in certain schools. So in Rouse High School, since I am in student council, that is a class period on my schedule. But this is not for all schools, it's only for some. Girls Who Code, like I stated, that is the club that I founded in my school. And that one mainly works. We offer competitions and such for girls, or actually anyone who wants to join. So that's that. NHS is a club that you can only join in your 11th and 12th grade, but that is something to be on the lookout for because you need an invite for NHS. You cannot just apply. After you get an invite, you can apply and then they will admit you based on your application. And to ensure that you will like get that NHS offer, you need to have a certain GPA. So make sure you keep that GPA up and your grades up. Yeah. And then we have Science Olympiad, which is going to be kind of similar to DECA and HOSA. But I think a lot of people have heard about it because it's also offered in a lot of middle schools. But I think the Science Olympiad where I'm most near to is held at University of Texas, but it's going to have multiple events that you could choose from and then go to that. And then another thing is UILs. So for UILs, it's going to be like math UIL, there's computer science UIL, social studies UIL, and then current events UIL. There's also a lot more that your school might offer. These are very beneficial. Colleges love seeing UIL awards and stuff like that. Yeah. And then, of course, there's going to be other clubs like robotics based on what your school offers. Rouse currently does not offer a robotics club, but they might be able to reinstate that soon. Okay, and then other things to look out for while you're in high school, volunteering is a big thing, but it is not the main thing. A lot of people think that to graduate, you need volunteer hours. This is not true. So, organizations such as NHS might require you to do some volunteering hours, but it is not required for you to do volunteering hours. And then the last thing is going to be internships and research. You're not expected to have an internship in your freshman year. This is just something that you want to be on the lookout for as you go through high school. Um, for me, the way I believe is the best way to get internships, if you're not getting them through application, is going to be to reach out to local communities nearby, local businesses, and kind of see if they have a position for you to shadow under any of their staff members. And then research is going to be reaching out to professors and different educated people and asking to research with them or under them. Okay. Now I will be answering all your questions. I haven't fully kept up with them, but I will be looking. Student council count as volunteer hours. Again, depends on your school. In Rouse High School, it depends on the event. So if you're going to set up for homecoming, that is going to count as volunteering hours. But just going to the club meetings will not count as volunteering hours. Okay, so an internship is going to be similar to a job, but it's going to be in a smaller field. So it's going to be like if you have a job, you're gonna go in, you're gonna work, you're gonna earn money. Internships, on the other hand, it's more about learning. And so you can either shadow people, which is going to be working under someone who has a job, so that you get that experience in the real work field. Internships can also be paid or unpaid, depending on which one you reached out to. Would I recommend skipping AP US History over the summer at ACC? I personally did not because at my school, AP US History was going to give me a boost to my GPA. And because I wanted that boost, I decided not to take US History over the summer. What I did instead was I took US History 1 over the summer, which is something that you need for college, whereas US History 2 is the one they offer in high school. And these two courses don't connect to each other. I know it's called 1 and 2, but it's that the time periods in these classes are different. How many AP courses do I recommend for each year? There is not a set amount of AP classes you have to do. The more AP classes you do, the only thing that it's going to affect is your GPA. So if you are looking to, be in the top ranks, then you're going to want to do more AP classes. But it is not. You have to go about your level of learning. Don't push yourself too hard if you know you can't do it. If I'm taking Algebra 2 in 7th grade in an IB curriculum, can I skip AP Pre-Calc in 9th grade? Okay. Again, I don't encourage you to skip AP Pre-Calc because it's such a main course that you need for calculus. But if you do feel ready to, you can. I just make sure that you are reviewing a lot after and before the course that you take to skip the class. Okay, so is it mandatory to complete business class to join DECA Club? I can tell you how it works in Rouse High School. So in Rouse High School, you are required to do a CTE course. This does not just mean a business class. So if you're in any comp sci classes, any science classes like medical interventions, these are also going to count as CTE classes. So you don't have to typically be in just a business class. Can you explain a bit more on the two science classes to pick the one with the best GPA? So, coming into high school as a freshman, the only class that you're most likely to be able to do is going to be biology, because biology is going to be a prerequisite to AP biology. But then after that, if you want to do AP classes for the rest of your high school in order to get the best GPA, you're going to want to pick so, okay, the way I went about it is I took AP Physics because that's going to help to my major. But a lot of people in my school said that AP Physics was a challenging class. So, if that is not going to help to your major, you might want to take an easier class to boost your GPA. That's still AP. Will all of this be applied in IB curriculums? I'm not completely sure if all of this is going to be different in IB curriculums, but I do know that the GPA system is going to be the same. And AP and IB classes are counted at the same level. Yeah, someone asked, what is the difference between the way I graduated or are going to graduate with distinguished with honors versus the other two ways? I can go back to that slide. So the main difference is going to be that your social studies and language. So if you can see social studies, you only need 3 credits for both of them. Um, Language, you only need 2 credits for the first two, but for distinguished, you're going to need 4 for social studies and 3 for language. And then because of that change, your electives, you only need 5 for distinguished with honors. And again, this is only for the LISD. It might change depending on what ISD.
What?
Okay. Can you explain what is credits and how it's calculated? Yeah, so the main way to go about credits is going to be can you guys see the course catalog on my screen right now? Can you say a yes in the chat? That'd be amazing.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's good. So if your school or ISD provides you a course catalog like this, if you go to the very end, at least in this one, as you can see, after it tells you the class, it's going to tell you how many credits it offers. So mostly the most common ones are going to be 0.5, 1, and then 2. So for classes, most classes are going to offer 1 credit for every class you take. A lot of double block classes do offer 2 credits. And then semester long classes are going to be 0.5 credit usually. Do you think I could do varsity tennis and dance team in junior, senior year? With this one's a hard one because tennis is double blocked, and I'm not fully sure if dance team is double blocked. You'd have to fully check on that. But your junior year, you're going to want to take a lot of electives that help you towards college. So I personally think it would be nicer to choose one rather than do both. And you could still do the other one through a club or a dance team outside. Is any of the 3 paths better than the others? It's not that one is better than the other. It's going to be like a level system again. It's going to be level 1, 2, and 3. I'll pull that up again. So LISU distinguished with honors is going to be the highest level. But between them, it's not like colleges are going to reject you just because you did a different plan or path through high school. Is practicum, yeah, practicum in business is going to be double blocked. Do we really need to be in top 5.5% to get into UT Austin? How is it looking for friends? Um, Currently, I'm not sure about everyone who got into UT, so I can't fully answer that question. But while being in the top 5 or 6% will help you, and also being in the top 5% means that you are automatically admitted to UT Austin under a liberal arts major. So, in the long term, it will help you if you want to get like into a liberal arts major, but it does not mean that you cannot get in without being in the top 5%.
There is a question about your rank actually in the school. You mentioned actually about salutatorian, right? So that question, it's a second rank in Rouse High School.
Yeah, I was second rank in Rouse High School. Yes. Thank you. Does doing all social studies courses negatively impact, or doing in the summer negatively impact a student planning to go into the STEM stream? Um, it doesn't, it's not going to negatively impact you too much because it is the STEM stream. As long as you're getting all four of those credits, you're able to graduate high school. The one thing that I would, consider if I wanted to do this is how that would affect my GPA. So if you're not going to take that class, it's not like there's not going to be an added boost if that's an AP class to your GPA. Minimum GPA needed to get into NHS. I'm not fully sure based on what school you go to. At my school, I think it might be around a 5.1 or a 5.0 with your weighted GPA. Or it's going to be like a 4.0 or a 3.9 in your unweighted GPA.
So there is one question about the choir and show choir, the difference between it. Maybe can you explain about the number of credits show choir gives?
Yes, I can do that. Let me again pull up the course catalog. So with choir and show choir, the difference is going to be choir is just singing, right? Show choir is going to be singing while dancing. And one of them does give show choir does give you a PE credit, but I think it is only going to be a half a PE credit. But I will check just to make sure. Um, Again, this again is just for Rouse High School. It might be different based on what school you're in. And yeah. Yeah, so show choir does meet the state standard for physical education. Okay, so if you want the fine arts and physical education, you'd have to take it for 2 years.
So there is one question. Did you get a language credit for going to Manabadi?
Yeah, okay. So I took Spanish 1 in middle school, then I took Spanish 2 in freshman year, and then I learned out about how I can use my Money Buddy thing. So what I did was I finished all 4 years of Money Buddy, and on the final test, they give you a certification. If you give this certification to your counselor, they might be able to put in the credits. So I received 4 credits on my transcript.
Can you explain why actually you got to use Manabadi credits here? Why you got to use it? Like what the decision making you did?
So do you mean like why I did it or?
Yeah, why you negotiated actually you want to use that credit and what was that discussion? You want to share some thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I used my Money Buddy credits because doing so would mean that I would get more space on my schedule to take electives. Because I was in tennis and that's double blocked, I already had very less space on my schedule to take classes like computer science and engineering, which is what major I wanted to go into. So that's why I decided to credits instead of taking 2 more years of Spanish. Yeah, if you were in Boy Scouts, then would you be guaranteed to get a scholarship? Um, with scholarships, there's not going to be guarantees unless you find a scholarship that says that. Because scholarships are going to be all merit-based or qualification-based in different levels. So if you find a scholarship that is like fully for Boy Scouts, then that would be guaranteed. But there is no guarantee to get a scholarship based on being in Boy Scouts or not.
Bhavashri, one question. What I heard was you had to still take LOTE to get the language credit. For example, if you completed Manabadi, you still have to go for LOTE. Is it still valid, or you can still work with counselor for that?
I'm not sure about that. For me, it was 3 years ago when I sent them my certification. I didn't have to do anything else after that. but that again might have changed to my knowing. So I would say still reach out to your counselor and see if they're able to do it. If not, then you would have to take that class, or you can take the Apple test if Telugu is offered in Apple test.
And there are two levels of actually Manabadi. One is at after finishing actually 4 levels, and another one is 6 levels. So again, each school actually gives a different credits. So please include actually there is a person Sridevi from Manabadi, the global team. So loop her actually and with your counselor, and they will evaluate and they will give you the credits accordingly. And if anyone have any doubts, actually, please reach me so I can send actually how I wrote the email actually to the counselor, CCing them. I will be happy to assist on that.
Yeah. And then Sabita, you said if I take 4 years of Manabadi without completing the senior certification of 5th year, do I still get 4 credits? I'm not completely sure about that. You might get just 3 credits, but I did finish my senior certification, and that's how I got all 4 credits. And then the difference between weighted and unweighted GPA. Okay, so your weighted and unweighted GPA are going to be calculated differently based on scales. So your weighted GPA is, okay, I'll start off with your unweighted. So your unweighted GPA, the maximum that your GPA can go up to is going to be a 4.0. And this is because all your grades are calculated the exact same. So if I have 100 in an AP class and a 90 in a on-level class, both of those are going to be on a 4.0 scale. Whereas for GPA weighted, let's say I have a 90 in an AP class and 100 in a on-level class, that AP class's 90 is going to have a higher value than a on-level 90 class in a GPA weighted scale. And then these are used in different places as well. So your weighted GPA, if you have all above, I think, A's, you're going to have a 4.0 GPA. Your GPA, or sorry, your unweighted. For your weighted GPA, it's going to change based on all your classes. I don't think it's even possible to get a 6.0 GPA for weighted, because that would mean that you took all APs and got all hundreds in all of those classes.
Excuse me, can you tell I missed that about the core subject for the maths. Can you help me with the maths?
Yeah, of course. So how it's going to work with math is these are at least like the main classes that Rouse High School offers. And there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like options overall. But of course, you only have 4 years and you can't take all of these. So depending on what you already took in middle school, you can go about that. So if you already took Algebra 1 geometry, in your freshman year, you would take Algebra 2 and then go on like forward. I do know a lot of people who took 2 math classes in 1 year. So a lot of my friends right now are taking AP Statistics and AP Calculus A, B, or BC at the same time. If I could ask, is your kid, what math level is your kid in right now? And then what grade is he in?
She is in 8th, but she is having Algebra 1.
Okay, so if she's currently in Algebra 1, Geometry and Algebra 2 are still required for her. These 2 classes is something that I encourage you, if you want to, you can skip. Just make sure you're learning a lot about it and fully actually delving deep into how, like all the topics. So if she does want to skip one of those classes, she can before she goes into high school. But when it comes to like pre-calc, calculus, I don't encourage you to skip those classes.
Thank you.
Bhavya, there is a questions about HOSA. Could you please explain about what is HOSA and who need to take HOSA?
Yeah, okay. So I also saw some questions about DECA, so I'll cover both of these. DECA and HOSA are both CTSO clubs, which there's only 7 of these clubs, and what they basically mean is that they're very competition based and there's going to be levels of competition. So with HOSA, I'm not currently in HOSA, so I don't know too much about it. but it's going to be different events that you can choose from. So you can choose like community awareness or a different health topic. And then there's going to be test events. So you take a test for this and then you move on to levels after that. There's going to be presentation events. And then I also there'll be role play events, but I'm not too sure about that with HOSA. And again, HOSA is for medical, so it's going to be all your science topics. And then when it comes to DECA, this is a business related course. It's going to be two different types of events. It's going to be role play and written events. Your role play is going to have a test, and when you go to the competition day, they're going to give you a prompt. You're going to have 10 to 20 minutes to prepare, and then you're going to have to present to the judge. Your written events are going to be fully prepared beforehand. So for your written, it requires a 10-page or a 20-page written entry based on what event you choose. And then you're going to have a 15